Okay, so yeah, so we have two presentations today. They're both people audio recorded them ahead of time, so I'll just post those so you guys can watch that on your own. And I'm just gonna pull up the lab and see if there's anything in particular to focus on. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So the main thing with this lab is I want you guys to focus on which compartment each muscle is in, and then the action of that muscle. The only three where I really want you to know the origin insertion is gastrocnemius soleus and tibialis anterior. The rest just kind of focus on where they're located and what their general actions are. Again, one other thing to note when we think about planes of motion that has been confusing for a lot of people is inversion and eversion. Okay, so again, that's going to occur in the frontal plane. Okay, and just kind of look for, you know, what the agonist muscles are for each of those actions. Again, thinking the one unique thing about the lower limb is these compartments. And again, I mentioned this on Monday, but the compartments are really important. They're covered in like a connective tissue sheath that is pretty tough, like it's not very giving, which is great because it facilitates the return of blood back to the heart. Okay, so it has to move up against gravity. So that's really what it's there for. However, it can cause some issues with, you know, compartment syndrome, things like that, if the muscles need to swell, but there's not any room for them to swell or have any inflammation occurring. So again, looking at each of these compartments, for those of you that are PT school bound or any type of graduate school for the medical field, if you do a cadaver dissection, it's super interesting to see like how thick this sheath actually is that's separating each of these compartments. It's pretty, I think it's pretty amazing, like how it's just like a weird texture. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's kind of, yeah, it's like a thick covering that's like weird. It's really weird, but it's super strong, which is great because it does a great job of then facilitating blood flow. Okay. Again, when you think about the movement analysis, one thing to note, and again, a lot of about half and half had this right. So if I'm doing a push-up and I think that my ankle doesn't do anything, okay, think about what is the position of the ankle in when I do the push-up. Okay, so is the ankle in dorsiflexion or plantar flexion? So again, if it's in dorsiflexion, then that's going to be your movement for both phases. And then your type of contraction will be isometric. And again, about half of the people have been getting that. And it's weird to think of a movement, you know, because you're not actually moving, but so just list it as, you know, dorsiflexion, isometric, and then list which muscles would assist for keeping the ankle in that dorsiflexed position. I think I will just really briefly, because I haven't looked through either of those presentations, I will briefly go through the like little PowerPoint that I have, just in case they didn't cover the compartments. So that way you'll have those compartments here. You can see the PowerPoint now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, you know, bony landmarks, again, those should have been covered in the skeletal system long ago. Here shows you kind of the relationship between those bony landmarks and the ankle joint itself. Again, the talus bone and the tibia, which you can see here, create the ankle joint, which allows for that dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and then it's really a combination of all of these bones that's going to allow us to have that inversion eversion occurring. Okay, again, a review of each of those bony landmarks. Again, there's like a lot of joints in there. So when we think about injuries associated with the ankle, there's a lot of things that can kind of go wrong. And we think about ankle sprain and things like that. There's a lot of different ligaments in there that are helping to stabilize this joint. And with it being a weight bearing, joint, that puts us at a greater risk for all sorts of injuries. This is interesting, tibiofibular joint. So it's the relationship between the tibia, which we know is medial, and the fibula, because the fibula has an L. We know that's on the lateral side. But basically, it's got like this connective tissue sheath. It's not as tough as the compartments that I talked about previously. But this like keeps these two bones kind of bound together. Fibula only carries like 10 to 20% of the weight. Tibia gets to do all the work, basically. Again, look at all those joints. A lot of things in there. Okay, so again, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, we know will be sagittal, and inversion, eversion, shifting the weight to the medial side versus the lateral side, will be frontal. Okay. Okay, so those lower leg compartments. So again, facilitates venous return, helps us to get blood back up against gravity, can prevent swelling, excessive swelling in those muscles as well, which can be good or bad. Okay, so here we go. So this shows you which muscles go in which compartment. Okay, so in the anterior compartment, again, it's going to lie on the anterior lateral side of the tibia. Tibialis anterior. So again, if you do dorsiflexion, your tib anterior will kind of poke right out. So that one's an easy one to see. It's the most superficial of the three here. And then extensor hallucis longus. Hallucis means big toe. So this is an extender of our big toe. Extensor digitorum longus is extending all of the toes. So again, helping your toes to come up. We can see why those actions would occur kind of simultaneously with dorsiflexion of the ankle. Okay, it's hard to dorsiflex without also extending your toes up. Lateral compartment, two muscles, peroneus longus and peroneus brevis. Sometimes they're called fibularis longus and fibularis brevis. Same muscles, so don't be confused by that. And those are going to run right alongside of the fibula. So for your exam, which is Friday, keep in mind the general location of each compartment. So I think that there is one question that's like, got something on the fibula and it's like which muscles or which compartment lies in this particular area. Okay, so again, focus on kind of the general location of each of those compartments and what the muscles do within those compartments. Superficial posterior, so we have gastrocnemius, which is the most superficial. Soleus lies deep to gastrocnemius. Interesting thing about gastroc and soleus, gastroc is really important for like power. So like being able to jump high and do things like that, sprinting. Okay, so again, anything that's like super fast twitch, we're going to use gastroc. And then soleus is more of like an endurance muscle. So again, if I were to do like long distance running or swimming or something along those lines, I'm more likely to activate this muscle as opposed to gastroc. One interesting thing, there are some track coaches that believe that if you have high gastrocnemius, so like if the heads of the gastrocs are like higher, like closer to the back of your knee, that you have greater potential to run fast. And so they will like recruit athletes based on the location of those heads of the gastrocnemius, which I think is crazy. I don't know if there's any scientific backing to that, but I've heard that before and I thought it was kind of interesting. Deep posterior compartment, so this will lie underneath of soleus. That includes flexor digitorum longus, so again, flexing the toes, like curling your toes down. Flexor hallucis longus, that's the big toe. And then tib posterior, which is basically an antagonist to tib anterior. Okay, plantar flexion, who does what? Gastroc, soleus, those are your major muscles. Tib posterior, he helps as well. And then the peroneus or those lateral compartment muscles are going to help out. Dorsiflexion is the anterior compartment. So tib anterior, and then those two extensor muscles will also assist. Inversion, so again, the tibialis muscles, and then the hallucis muscles. So again, think about more on that medial side of the lower leg, and those will help with that inversion process. Eversion, again, think about the muscles that are more lateral in nature. So again, they're in that lateral compartment, the peroneus muscles. Flexion of the toes. So again, we talked about the flexor digitorum, also lumbricals. We had a lot of the muscles that we see in the foot are the same as the muscles that we saw in the hand. So if you remember back to when we did the wrist and the hand, the lumbricals were an intrinsic muscle within the hand. So we also see that in the feet as well. Again, extensors, and then also lumbricals assisting with toe extension. Here's your origin insertion actions for gastroc. Again, gastroc is unique because it's biarticular and it actually originates on the back of the femur. So it does assist with knee flexion. However, its primary action is plantar flexion. The other cool thing about gastrocnemius, and again, if you haven't taken biomechanics or you're going to take it eventually, the way the lever system is set up is like this muscle can lift a lot of weight, but it's really not that big, right? So again, you can easily stand on one toe. You could jump on one foot and use the gastrocnemius to propel your weight up, no problem, right? So again, the strength of this muscle based on the levers that are created based on its arrangement makes it really, really strong. Again, soleus is deep. Soleus is uniarticular, so it originates on the fibula and tibia. Common insertion point for the Achilles tendon on that posterior surface of the calcaneus. So the insertion is the same as what we saw with gastroc. Deep posterior, again, the muscles, tib posterior, flexor digitorum, and flexor hallucis. Again, those are going to lie directly underneath of soleus. The lateral compartment, so the actions they can do, eversion and assist with plantar flexion. Again, the reason that they're going to assist with plantar flexion is you can see that the muscle kind of wraps around behind the fibula and kind of goes around this way. So that's, again, super long tendon, so it's probably not going to be a huge muscle in regards to force production, but it can assist us with plantar flexion. And then anterior compartment, again, tib anterior, super easy to palpate and see on your lower extremity if you do dorsiflexion. So again, in that anterior compartment, dorsiflexion is our major priority. However, it can assist with inversion and eversion as well. There's your origin insertion. Again, tib anterior is one of the three where we want to know the origin insertion for. Yeah. That was a quick rundown, but now you can go back and get those things if you need to. Questions on any of that?
I didn't have any.
I don't think I have anything else to note. I still have lab 10 to grade yet today. The last quiz is graded. You should know exactly where you stand kind of heading into these last two exams.
Okay.
If you're in 226, anybody who's taking the second half of the class, I have everything ready to go to mail out to you guys. I'm waiting on, I had to order some extra blood pressure cuffs, so I'm waiting on those. They should be here Friday. So depending on what time they arrive Friday, I'll either send those packages on Friday or Monday. So everyone should have all their equipment, everything that they need for the 226 class. I hope by Tuesday, because your first assignment is due on Thursday, that you would kind of need that equipment for. So that's my plan on that. If you haven't gotten back to me about if you have a heart rate monitor or not, please do so. I have plenty of heart rate monitors, but I have to like charge them and stuff. So if you already have one, just use what you have. So
You got my email for that, right? My email was being weird, so
I don't know. I have your address, and was it the same email where you emailed me about caffeine?
No, it would have been a different, like, I don't know. I think I sent it yesterday. Let me check. Hmm.
Do you need a heart rate monitor or you have one?
My email has just been really weird.
Do you need one or no?
No, I'm good. And then the caffeine, I don't drink much caffeine, so
Okay.
for that lab.
Okay.
Yeah, it says it's sent, but I don't know. I can try sending it again too.
No, that's okay. I got my list right here with everybody's
Okay.
addresses and what I'm sending to each of you. So,
Okay, sounds
yeah.
good.
And then the last thing with that is when you guys then return in the fall, you'll just bring back the non-perishable things. And again, so it'll be like a blood pressure cuff. Some of you are getting heart rate monitors. I don't even know what else, a pulse oximeter. Some people are, anyway, you'll bring those things back in the fall when you come back and just drop them off to the lab when you return. People that are not Loris students, again, I think you guys are all pretty much UD or Clark students. So whenever you come back, you'll just have to drop them off at campus at some point. So, all right. Okay, happy studying and good luck on these last 2 exams. I'll submit the grades right away on Friday. So I would encourage everybody to look through eLearn and make sure you've got everything submitted and everything looks good in terms of, your lab grades and that sort of stuff. Because I'll submit those probably Friday afternoon. So, all right.
Awesome.
Okay, have a great day, and
You too.
we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.